In the vast, uncharted reaches of the galaxy, there existed a species known as the Xylith, who had long believed they were the most violent and dangerous beings in the universe. Their homeworld, Zipheron, was a world teeming with a savage array of predatory species, towering storms, and ever-shifting landscapes that seemed designed to obliterate all who dared to inhabit it. To the Xylith, survival in such a hostile environment had forged them into fierce, intelligent warriors. They had no rivals in their belief that their world was the epitome of death and destruction. Zipheron was a planet of extremes. The air was thick with toxins, and the oceans were filled with creatures large enough to swallow entire cities whole. The sun burned in the sky with an intensity that could melt metals, and the ground constantly trembled with the aftershocks of tectonic activity. Life on Zipheron had evolved under a constant threat of extinction. Every organism on the planet, from the smallest insect to the largest megafauna, had adapted to survive the brutal forces of nature. But it was not just the environment that made Zipheron a death world, it was the life forms that inhabited it. The Xylith were a proud species, believing their advanced technology and unparalleled resilience made them supreme. Standing at over 8 feet tall, with skin that shimmered like obsidian, they were formidable. Their society was built around the concept of strength, both physical and mental. Warriors ruled, and their highest honor was to battle the most dangerous predators on Zipheron. Only those who had faced down the largest and deadliest beasts could claim the title of true Xylith, and it was this title that drove their entire culture. As their civilization advanced, the Xylith began to explore the stars, their technology rapidly outpacing that of their neighbors. They encountered other species, many of whom spoke of the dangers they faced on their own home worlds. But none of these creatures seemed to match the ferocity of Zipheron. The Xylith were unfazed, dismissing the claims of their neighbors. In their eyes, no planet could be more hostile, no species more dangerous. The Xylith were simply the pinnacle of life in the universe. Then came the day they met the humans. It started as a routine diplomatic mission. The Xylith had received a signal from a distant planet, Earth, a world located in a relatively peaceful sector of the galaxy. The humans had been watching the stars for centuries, their technology modest compared to that of the Xylith, but their curiosity about the cosmos was evident. The Xylith, always eager to expand their influence, sent a delegation to make contact with this seemingly primitive species. At first, the Xylith were unimpressed. The humans, with their short lifespans and fragile physiology, seemed to lack any real understanding of the harsh realities of the universe. The Xylith expected little more than a simple exchange of knowledge, perhaps some trade agreements or a few scientific curiosities. What they did not expect was to be confronted by a species whose very existence challenged everything they believed about life in the galaxy. The first encounter occurred in a small human settlement, nestled on a grassy plain beneath a bright blue sky. The Xylith, towering over the humans, expected to intimidate them, to show them the superiority of their kind. Instead, they were met with a strange, quiet resistance. The humans did not tremble or cower in the presence of the Xylith. They did not even show fear. Instead, they greeted the visitors with calm, measured expressions, offering them food, shelter, and hospitality. In the days that followed, the Xylith grew curious. They observed the humans closely, but what they saw only deepened their confusion. The humans had no great strength or resilience to speak of. Their bodies were soft and fragile compared to the Xylith, and their world, Earth, was not a place of unrelenting terror like Zipheron. Yet, despite these apparent weaknesses, the humans survived. And not only survived but thrived. They built cities, explored the stars, and waged wars with a level of savagery that seemed, to the Xylith, completely irrational. The turning point came when the Xylith learned about the humans' history. They discovered that Earth had once been a world torn apart by constant conflict, wars, famines, and plagues. Yet, against all odds, the humans had survived. Worse still, they had not just survived, they had grown stronger. Their capacity for adaptation was unlike anything the Xylith had ever seen. It was not merely physical strength that made them formidable, but their indomitable will to survive and their unyielding drive to overcome obstacles. The Xylith were particularly struck by humanity's history of war. Unlike the species they had encountered before, who fought for survival or dominance, the humans fought for principles, for ideologies, for beliefs. Wars had raged across Earth for millennia, but the humans had never stopped fighting, never stopped striving for something greater. Even when they were on the brink of extinction, they had fought back with a ferocity that defied reason. The Xyloth learned of humanity's 2 world wars, of the horrors of trench warfare, and the unrelenting brutality of their conflicts. Yet, even after the devastation, the humans had rebuilt their societies, learned from their mistakes, and expanded their reach to the stars. They had faced extinction many times, and yet they persisted. One particular story intrigued the Xyloth the most, the story of a human named Alexander. A military leader who, in the face of overwhelming odds, had led his people to victory time and time again. Despite being outnumbered, despite the odds being stacked against him, Alexander had pushed forward, never giving up, never surrendering. His ability to inspire his people, to rally them in the face of insurmountable danger, was a trait the Xyloth could not comprehend. It was a force that could not be measured by strength alone. The Xyloth had always believed that the strong survived. Their world had taught them that only the fittest, the most resilient, could endure. But the humans proved that the will to survive, the refusal to surrender, could be a strength greater than any physical trait. One day, during a demonstration of their own military prowess, the Xyloth decided to show the humans what it truly meant to be a Deathworlder. They unleashed a massive war machine, a towering titan of metal and fire, on a human outpost. The machine tore through the settlement, crushing buildings and slaughtering the inhabitants without mercy. The Xyloth watched, expecting the humans to break, to surrender in fear of their overwhelming might. But they did not. The humans fought back with a ferocity that stunned the Xyloth. They did not have the advanced technology or the monstrous beasts of Ziphoron, but they had something far more dangerous, their will. The humans rallied around their fallen comrades, organizing with a precision that seemed almost alien to the Xyloth. They had no intention of fleeing. They did not seek peace or mercy. They sought revenge. The battle raged for hours, and the Xyloth were forced to withdraw, their war machine crippled, their pride shattered. In the end, the Xyloth realized something that shook them to their core. The humans were not just survivors, they were predators in their own right. Their capacity for violence, their unbreakable spirit, was unlike anything the Xyloth had ever encountered. The Xyloth, once the apex of Deathworlders, now understood the truth. The universe was not divided into those who thrived in Deathworlds and those who merely survived. The humans had shown them that there was another way to be deadly, that there was a strength in resilience, in unity, and in the refusal to ever give up. They had met the humans, and in doing so, they had encountered a force that could not be tamed, a species that would never bow before any challenge. As the Xyloth departed Earth, they did so with a new understanding of the universe. They had believed they were the only true Deathworlders, the only species capable of surviving in the harshest of environments. But they now knew that the humans had something far more terrifying, a will to fight, to endure, and to rise again, no matter the odds. The Xyloth left Earth not as conquerors, but as humble beings, for they had learned the hardest lesson of all, that sometimes, survival is not about strength alone. It is about the strength of will, the power of conviction, and the unyielding belief that no matter how brutal the universe may be, life will always find a way to fight back.